Oh,
Have you been shaving your legs for cycling?
I've not started
No?
yet. Not started yet. I mean, to be honest, I don't need to do it in the winter, do I? Because there's no like aero in the shed.
We're concerned. This isn't a trials podcast. This is an intervention.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Shindig podcast. Woo-hoo-hoo, Shindig. I think that's Joe breathing heavily in his mic, so it might have given away who this is. And he's on a bike, not a trials bike.
We'll introduce him right now. He's got a seat on it, Mr. Joe Maher.
Woo, Mr. Essex himself, Joey Essex.
Yo. How is everyone? Everyone good?
Yeah, mate. No, we're good. You're looking.
We've done our research to roast Joe, but he's just done it himself for us. Like,
I'll just add how the response for getting him on the show. Obviously, we've known Joe for quite a few years, and we thought, yeah, he's a close friend. We definitely want him on the show, and quickly messaged him, just like, "Hey, mate, you going to come on and join?" And the video that he sent instantly back.
Got it?
I've got it on my phone. I haven't got it on the
we'll
laptop.
have to put it on the thing.
I will definitely add it. Is him on his bike as he is right now. For the listeners who don't know, Joe is cycling on his trainer in his house whilst on the podcast. And he's in his Lycra. Full tight Lycra. Replies with this little selfie like, "Oh, mate, I'm here for you. Don't worry, I'm ready when you are." And it was absolutely hilarious. So, Joe, here he is, and in his Lycra. Mate, we're so excited to have you on.
I mean, I've got to please my fans, haven't I? That's what they come here to see.
Yeah, that is also what he said.
Oh, you froze.
Internet's not going to be great, sadly, in our home, so if we freeze, just,
well,
bear with it.
I'm literally on Trials Forum now thinking like, what did Joe ever say about road cyclists or something? Because what was good about Trials Forum, Joe was really, really active on Trials Forum. There's about 12,000 posts. He was a senior member, I believe, of Trials Forum.
But can we just add, you only became senior when you actually had a number of posts? Isn't that right? No?
No, that's
I
not
thought
true.
it was like you were sort of chummy with the admins or something. Was that it?
No, so basically, like, when you become senior member, there's like a different forum, like senior member chat. So that's like a whole new bit that other people can't see.
What dirt is in there?
Oh, mate, you don't want to know. I mean, if you want dirt, that's the
Is that
gold
like
mine
4
to
chat
hit.
at Trials Forum?
Right, we need to hack Joe's account so we can use that for our podcast, because that is definitely more dirt. But
Yeah,
anyway,
so
so what
basically
do you find? Because I know that
yeah.
you essentially set the tone. One of your first comments literally sets the tone for how Joe will be
I
on
haven't got it.
social media.
Let me.
You're not
Well,
sure
it was basically. It might have been like you testing out how the forum works. I think you joined like 2002. 2002, maybe that was Jai. And someone was saying like, "How do I know what's the left and the right pedal to fit on my bike?" And he was like, "What I love as well when you go back, I encourage anyone to go back and read.
Yeah.
Joe on Trials Forum is Joe Papa Snap Maher. I don't know. No, I still don't know the username.
Ma.
For the record, how Mar? Yeah,
Yeah, is it officially? It's Ma.
yeah.
Joe Ma. Okay, cool.
And you actually write on Trials Forum like how I imagine you speak. It's actually really well. I can actually hear your voice when I'm reading this. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Even your Facebook actually comments. It's just the way that you type is how you speak.
And it was very much matter of the fact. Well, the left pedal has L written on it. The right pedal has R written.
Mate, I mean, sometimes you've just got to be honest, you know.
I totally agree, mate. No, and sometimes I'll be one of those like, I'm not even going to waste my breath. But Joe's like, this is hilarious. I've got time. I'm only on my bicycle.
That's it. You know, I mean, if you've got time, why not? I mean, I gave him the answer he wanted. It might not have been in the politest of fashions, but he got the answer.
So we're going. You go way back, as Tom saying 2002. But mate, you're currently on a bike that has a C. Like, how are you finding retirement?
I love it, mate. I love it. I mean, what can I say? I mean, I've been riding trials for 20 years now, and the past year I haven't rode at all. I had an injury about 13 months ago. I was in a show, jumping off a 9-foot ledge kind of thing. Just jumped down on my feet and just hurt my foot. For about 3 months after that, I was bit of a write-off.
So it was actually you coming up. That wasn't you failing a trick. You were like jumping out or something, landing on your feet.
Well, I was going off a balance beam, and the balance beam wasn't sturdy, so it was rocking. So I thought, right, just eject. So I jumped down, just straight to the floor, and it was fine at the time. Got up, did it again, no problem. And then about half an hour later, I was like, oh no, that ain't good.
Because that was going to be my next question. When was the last time you rode a trials bike? Which I think you said, what, about a year? You think?
Yeah, over a year ago.
Wow.
And I mean, I'm not going to lie, I don't miss it.
No, I'm surprised.
Sorry, everyone.
No, I mean, you've still. The thing is, I'll allow it because you're riding a bike.
Shock
so
horror.
Maybe, but it's a little bit.
Why
of a shock.
don't you miss
He
it?
doesn't miss
surely
it.
there must be an element of you that's like, oh,
We're supposed to be encouraging people to ride. Now they're like, oh, Joe doesn't miss it. Maybe I won't.
Because if you was a crap rider, then you'd be like, well, I don't really miss anything. But you were good.
All right. No, this will determine it. Do you still have a trials bike, mate?
I've still got one hanging in the shed.
That is a no given. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to take that subconsciously because otherwise you would have sold me both your bikes.
Yeah, no, obviously I've got a reason. Like the past 10 years, I've been doing shows. And as the years have gone on, I've been doing more and more shows and less social riding, should we say. So the bike is still there. Should next year things start to pick up again, the bike is there if I'm needed, maybe.
Yeah,
but,
I don't see
if I want to do that,
giving it up totally, mate. That's why I had to say you've still got a bike, and deep down in there, he's like, I'm fucking good at this. There's no way I can give that up. Like, come on. So I like to think we will see you again, perhaps.
The thing is like, it got to that point where I was doing so many shows, but I just wasn't riding socially.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I know
that took the fun away.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. Sometimes shows aren't always that fun. Yeah, it's great you ride for 20 minutes, but the rest of the day is tiring. The traveling, the setting up. Yeah, for sure. It is tiring. So when people think it's such this glamorous lifestyle, it really isn't. So I can
no. Yeah, absolutely.
Certainly relate. And I was going to ask you, you've gone out and done 100k this morning on your bike, but it looks like you're doing that in the comfort of your own home here. I
mean, it's raining outside and no one wants to get wet, do they? Not me.
You haven't set little Jack up yet next to you on a bike. I sort of already picturing that, having his own setup.
Yeah, it's a funny one. Obviously, he's got a balance bike. What is he? He's 2 now. And he's not really that fussed. Take it or leave it. And it's like, I'm not going to be pushing him to ride it. If he wants to ride it, great. But I'm not going to be like, get on that bike, ride. That's what I did. Doesn't mean he wants to do that. But obviously, when he does ride it, give him as much encouragement as I can. Try and really, make him feel like it's fun. But he's not that fussed. So what can you do?
Yeah, and for those who didn't know, Jack is Joe's little lad. You say nearly 2 years old. He's a newly become father. I wanted to ask maybe some of the other dads out there, what did that do in terms of change? Because you were still riding when Jack was born. You were doing shows. It was still very much a full-on lifestyle for you.
Yeah.
How did that affect your riding and your lifestyle?
It's one of them things that obviously as Jack was growing up, when he was like a couple of months old, you can go out riding. He's not going to miss you. He doesn't know that you're not there. But as the older he got, you don't want to spend weekends away being at shows. Yeah. You're missing out on like prime time stuff. Him walking, him talking, him eating. That's all. He only does that once.
Yeah.
And then obviously like when the road biking came around, it's just like he goes to bed for his midday nap or whatever. I just come out here, smash a few miles, easy peasy. It's not as easy with trials. I've got to drive somewhere, half an hour in the car, ride, have a crap ride, drive home. It's a lot of wasted time for a small amount of riding, effectively.
Yeah.
It's just priorities, isn't it? Your priorities change. I mean, my best days are long gone, and they're never coming back. So what's the point in investing more time in that to try and rekindle something that probably won't come back?
Yeah. No.
Being brutally honest and knowing that really, then some people.
I mean, some of it is the level of, I think, because you've been to that stage, it's not really a level of progression. It's more of like
kindling,
cycling down the
going.
same. Yeah, you're cycling down the same pathway you were beforehand. You know, go and find another trail.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can only sort of relate, and I don't know how I would feel after riding trials after 20 years. I hopefully won't like to think, don't give up what I'm good at, but at the same time,
we never know, you know, what life holds for us. You know, that's the cool thing. Is just assessing what you've then got and what the situation is. What I think is kind of amazing is that from the outside, seeing you riding on a road bike now, you'd think, wow, he's gone from an extreme sport like trials biking to the safety option of riding a road bike. But that hasn't turned out this way, has it, Joe?
No, absolutely not. I mean, anyone who thinks road cycling is safe is mental.
Definitely not. Yeah.
I mean, like just going to ride on the road is a challenge in itself. The amount of awful car drivers. I mean, it's not even worth mentioning how many times, you know, people just close past and you're literally like, you know, 2 inches to the right, you're dead. Like, it's as simple as that. It is not safe.
Have you got a shindig from road cycling yet? This is one I wanted to think. I know you're clipped in. It's not really.
Yeah. Okay.
You got any stories on that?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
All right. So when I first got this bike, come with obviously clipless pedals or clipping pedals, and I've never been on clipping pedals in my life. All right. so I'm in the front room and I'm like leaning up against the wall, clipping in, not a clue. And, you know, your brain just stops. And I'm like, I'm starting to lean. And I'm like, shit. Try and get my feet out. No.
It's too late.
Straight on the floor. Cut my elbow. And it's like, oh, mate, if I had a camera right now, you know, you've been framed gold. Like 250 quid right there.
I've seen it happen live in front of me in the van before in London. And it is one of the best things you can watch.
It is one of those things that...
It's savage.
Yeah, like everyone who has clipping pedals,
it become
just
numb. You're trying to do something that you.
Yeah. If no one's
and I have
ridden on
done
clipping
that outside as well. Thankfully, there was no one around.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone's not ridden a clipping pedal, it is quite an experience. You know,
it's quite funny because I know a lot of people who don't know a lot about trials. So like, oh, you must be clipped in then. Your feet are clipped to the pedals. I'm like, no, it's probably the worst thing that could. The worst thing it could possibly be is clipped into your bike. So
yeah, for sure.
I'd like to see though. I'm calling that out there now. If anyone's brave enough to try that and film it, I'd love to see the outcome or how confident you might be.
You'd have to learn how to like put a foot down, but by using your knee or something. I
suppose that's how
you
you
need
could
like knee pads.
That's how a lot of people could get better at side ups. I'd be like, I'm calling one out here, Mr. Sherwood. If he had clipped his feet into his pedals, he might then he'd do with these sides to make it. But it's those kind of things that I reckon
he couldn't land on his knee though. He'd snap in half his little bones. So I just calling Callum out there.
Yeah,
I mean, he's not exactly the biggest guy, is he?
No, we're gonna we've got Callum and Chris coming on to do one very soon. So some more Essex boys. We had an Essex guy last week too.
Hey, what are you talking about? There's an Essex guy on every single episode. Me.
I forgot you're from Essex, aren't you? Okay.
It's the
I
place
lost
to be.
the accent though, you know.
Yeah.
You matured.
Yeah.
I also wanted to get a first-hand story from you regarding the Olympics, because Joe, you are actually going to be probably the first rider in our community to represent trials in an not Olympic standard or
on a global scale, in a global spectacle.
Global event, yeah.
It was a massive global event. Can you just tell us a little bit about what happened there?
Yeah, sure. To be fair, I'm not really sure how it came about. I don't know who I got the call from. Maybe Dave Cleaver, who is the owner of Inspired Bikes Trial Tech.
Yeah.
I think I got a message from him maybe saying like, oh, someone's been in touch and they're looking for some trials riders. It was all very vague. So me being me, just went, yeah, cool. I'm there, you know, hand up.
Yeah, I'll ride a bike.
And then I found out, you know, a couple of days later that it was me, Adam Bessel, Joel Bennett, and Neil Tunnicliffe. So I was like, okay, like weird mix of riders. Obviously, like Neil, like beast.
I actually had no idea Neil was. I didn't know that. Yeah, sorry. Carry on.
Oh yeah. So then there's the four of us.
Yeah.
Then we start having like this email chain from the head of the Olympic organising committee, and they're saying, oh, they want trials to be in the opening ceremony of the 2012 Olympic Games. So we're like, cool, like, this is mental. Yeah, go for it. So then, like, we went to the stadium, had like this. I mean, it was the security and stuff was beyond. There's something else. Like, it's extreme. And basically, like, they didn't really know what they wanted, so they had like a few pallets and stuff, and it was all very like a bit last minute. But anyway, like a few weeks down the line, we'd been to the stadium a couple of times for rehearsals, and then they'd started putting in there. It went from pallets to crazy stuff, which was like Neil was the only guy that was willing to.
Yeah, and just say they know this is for the opening ceremony. They're preparing for the opening ceremony.
Danny
show.
Boyle directed, and
Yeah.
Danny Boyle. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I mean, it got to the point where they'd set out this balance beam to ride through the royal box to where whoever was sitting, Charles, the Queen, whoever, a balance beam through the royal box to drop down probably a good 12 foot to another box, which then dropped to the floor. It was, and the balance beam was, it was nasty. I'm not going anywhere near that.
Yeah.
And Neil was all over it. Neil was smashing it in rehearsals. And should it have happened, it would have been mega, like absolutely awesome. But as I say, like a couple of weeks later, when it was getting nearer to the time, like we were probably a couple of weeks away, I just got an email saying like, oh, sadly, all the cyclists aren't needed anymore. There's time restrictions and we're going to have to cut your segment of the show. And it's like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Like, it's ironic because that Olympics, England cleaned up in like every cycling event, you know, repping cycling for England.
Yeah.
And they just completely wiped cycling from the
actual opening ceremony. We're like, hey, here's some British cyclists. Look how effing good they are. Like, we're going to own this. And then next thing you know, you guys were taken out. I honestly think that would have had a massive impact on giving the sport that little bit more recognition.
Yeah. And I mean, it wasn't just us as well. I mean, there was like 40 BMXers, like big name BMXers. I mean, I don't know many guys, but I'm sure some people would. But there was like 40 BMXers and they were going all the way around the track. They had like the big spines all the way around the track, and they were just going to like train it the whole way around, and it looked insane. Yeah. And again, they got cut, and like that would have been such an awesome spectacle to see. No good.
Yeah, it's pretty gutting. I remember you telling us it, and it just thought we were making moves there.
But just for how niche like trials is, it's always amazing whenever people think, well, let's use a trials bike. Like, you sort of understand, okay, BMX, because BMX is an Olympic sport, I believe now, isn't it? Well, it would have been then as well, I think. But anything trials related, whether you see it on TV, if someone gets picked out to do an advert, you just think, wow, like how lucky we are. Like maybe some of the street trial stuff, but it's so lucky in any circumstance for that to come up. So on that bigger scale, it's just
because we
absolutely.
It's just made me realise, Joe, were you one of the guys in Mary Poppins?
Sadly not. No, I mean, again, that was like...
Suddenly shocked that you're not, but...
I was, but I wasn't. I mean, it was like...
more sense.
Yeah. Again, that was like a random phone call, like, oh, yeah, Mary Poppins have been on the phone. They want some trials riders for a show kind of thing. And I think it was Andrew Miller, or Spode, most people know him as. He was like organising like probably about 40 riders. So 40 trials riders went down to... some studio in London, can't think of the name. And they had like a rehearsal as such. They had just like a block of pallets. And these trials riders all just came together, did a bit of a jam. And then the producers and stuff were like, you come over here, what's your name? How old are you? Blah, blah, blah. And they whittled it down. I don't know if it was on the day. And they whittled it down to 10. I was in that 10. And then went back for another rehearsal. And then they whittled it down to, I think it was 4 BMXers and 4 trials riders. And sadly... I didn't make it.
Just off there, but you were in. I mean, I was
not BMXy enough. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I know they you and Beeden was one of them. I mean, I probably bunny hopped over a bench, so that might be why they could get that. But there were other names I can't think of now that we'll try and get some first-hand stories of the set. But the point being, huge film. I know they spent millions on just that scene alone, and it was nice for them to realise that some of these riders were getting noticed and being like, you guys are sick at your skill, let's get you in a film, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So there's still the sport itself, some of our riders getting really good recognition with that. So well, I'm surprised, Joe, but I thought you were. But
I mean, don't worry, I've done other stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've
Mary Poppins.
Yeah,
I mean,
actually,
I've been in a
Scott
Skype
Wilson was.
advert.
We've already had him on, actually. I totally forgot to ask him that. Scott Wilson was. I know Rich Pearson played another big part as well, so perhaps we'll get some info off him on that one.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing it a long time. I've done a lot of stuff. I mean, I was just thinking about it the other day, thinking, what have I done? And there's some weird stuff I've done. Like I just said, I've been in a Skype advert. I was paid like a day rate, like £250.
Yeah.
And they used about a second and a half of footage. And it's like, great, I do that all day long. Like,
yeah, just for riding for 20 minutes and get us all.
I've done a Topshop video advert, riding around Topshop on Oxford Street at midnight. That was pretty cool. Again, that was like a minute clip for them advertising some random stuff.
Did they give you any free clothes?
Yeah, funnily enough, I mean, I got to go in and literally just pick out what I wanted, but. I mean, it's Topshop. It's a pair of jeans.
I was going to say that. Yeah, well, that might explain some stuff. It's like, I
mean, I didn't get a free bike, so I mean, I was a bit gutted about that.
Yeah.
But the other thing I like, I don't know if you do this much anymore, but your profession, this is something I like covering on the Shindig podcast, is that we're all such a varied bunch of trials riders.
Who's ringing you? Tell them to bugger off.
It's my doorbell. It's the postman.
It's Danny Boyle.
On, mate,
we need to redo that in Olympic ceremony. Are you free? No, sorry, mate. I ride.
He wishes.
I ride road bike now.
It's a very melodic doorbell you've got there, Joe.
It's what is it? Cats, isn't it?
Where was we going with this?
Sorry,
lots of different trials bikers have so many different weird professions. We've got tattoo artist. We've got farm life. What's your main gig, Joe? Like, and where have you been? Like, what's
currently, or what I have been doing?
What you have been, because I think that's kind of quite an interesting opening game. But I don't know how anyone gets into this line of work, and then what you are now.
So basically, I'm a photographer, but I do all events in London, like celebrity events, basically. So I go to, when they happened, went to film premieres, music gigs, A-list. And, people say, are you paparazzi? And like, I mean, that's what the general deal is. People say, you've got camera, he's paparazzi. But it's obviously not like that. Paparazzi is someone that follows someone, stalks someone. We're invited to go there. We're stood behind a barrier. It's all very PC. But obviously, I haven't worked now since March, because the industry is just dead on its bottom. But I've been doing that for 14 years now. So I've met a few faces.
Yeah, and some of your
better than others.
Your images are used in really high-profile places, and you definitely captured some good photos. And I've even noticed same with trials. If you haven't seen any of Joe's trials pics and stuff like that before, do check it out, because they're pretty sick as well. Putting his career into our community,
Yeah. So when this goes out, the Jason Lake photo will be up, episode will be up. But there's some real nice photos of Jason's bike, and that's all Joe. That always used to be such a pleasure actually. Whenever you'd go on trials for him, because you get some really good photographers who go on a ride, and it's always like, Joe Maher's on the ride. We get some sick photos because he's got his camera and his lens and everything out.
It's funny you say that, because I look back at them pictures now and I think them pictures are dreadful. But at the time, I mean, it was like marginally better than Joe Blogs next door.
Yeah.
But I had a fancy camera and just looked the part. But realistically, back then, I didn't know what I was doing.
And
Fake it till you make it.
You were definitely creating content in terms of images as well as videos. Now, I know from my personal experience, that was a big influence for me. It always got me out riding. You'd go and watch a video of you at the Radical Bikes. Anywhere, preferred you on a 20 years ago. That's just putting it out there already. When you got a 24, I was like, but then now I've got his bike. But anyway, those videos that you always put out for me were always bang on. They were really inspiring, really good. So I think you've been creating content for a long time. If you guys haven't seen Joe's old videos, we'll try and put some links out there in his old 20, trying to roll to the other spots. And you were like that guy who tried to weave and integrate the whole rolling / TGS 20-inch trials together, I thought, at the start. Yeah. You really did that quite well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, when I was on my 20, definitely, because it's so small and so flicky, I think when I was on that bike, we were at a time where TGS was big and street wasn't like, Danny Mac reputable.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to be a little bit different, just smooth, bouncy, spinny, combine everything at the same time.
Yeah.
I was never big on side hops. So I think that was one of my things. It's like, if you can't do something, make up for it by doing something else.
Yeah.
And I think I was 100%. Good at just being a little bit creative, and trying to merge different things. And I think sadly, as the years went on, it just went a bit more, you just follow everyone else, don't you? I think I'd grown tired of trying to be creative, and then it just became, gap to front.
The shows were kicking in as well, weren't they? And that kind of
Yeah.
style wasn't as common with the shows, I think. So sort of certainly affected me on that too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, shows are just draining. You're doing the same thing over and over again, week in, week out. And it's just like, I mean, that's probably why, the passion went, because you're doing the same thing at the end of the day for a paycheck. And, it's a great job. Don't get me wrong. I mean, who doesn't want to ride their bike and get paid? But at the same time, like you said earlier, I mean, it's not glitz and glamour. I mean, when you're doing a show in Inverness for the weekend, spending 10 hours to get up there, riding a bike for 40 minutes throughout the day and coming home, it's like, that's not fun.
Oh, mate, yeah, it's super tiring. I've had the worst one I've done a few years ago. Me and Rich, we were, I can't remember which way round it was, but we were in Cornwall and we did a show at a wedding, finished within about 1 hour, and then the next morning we're in Newcastle doing a show. So you have to drive there. And one day it's like, no, it's like, hang on, those 9 hours, that's the time I should be sleeping.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, this is mad. So I think we really...
Well, I think of it as well in terms of a work and hobby perspective. Like, I think everyone should have like some sort of vocation or work, but then your hobby should be the thing that pulls you away from work.
Yeah.
So for me, trials biking is if I'm going out and I'm working, I think, well, I want to go home and get out on the bike. But if you are then doing that for paid work, what then becomes your hobby? You haven't got anything to pull you away from work anymore.
Yeah, it might suck the fun out of it too, because then you're just kind of like, I'm doing this because I have to get money or I have to be, whereas there's that constant pressure, whereas like for me and you, we just ride because it's fucking fun, like, and that way you have no pressure. And I've certainly found that I've enjoyed the riding more because there's that lack of pressure. Like we were saying today, right, let's go out and do this. Let's go and film this day. Right, let's go and make a video. Where my attitude's actually completely changed this year, where I'm like, nah, mate, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to go out and just ride my bike. And that has led to me having a much more successful day.
Yeah, sorry, I missed all that. It froze, but I caught a bit of it. But yeah, like I absolutely agree.
They'll hear it. It's fine. The podcast will hear it.
What was that thing you just said? Yeah, I agree with it. Yeah, we were just quoting you off, Joe. We're saying,
beep, beep. I think also for me, I mean, anyone that's seen my YouTube back catalogue will know that, I was at Barrow, I was just filming regardless. And I think that was tiring. I don't know why, but I felt the need to, bring out another video. And then I was going to Barrow and I was just doing the same stuff. And I was thinking, my creativity's gone. I'm not doing anything that anyone wants to see. It's the same old junk that everyone else is doing. And then taking the video side away, I was like, I haven't really got purpose now. And that was a bit like...
I see what you mean, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because that's giving you an incentive to go and ride, because at the end of the day, there's a post-product that you then have after that day, while there's some of us who just go out and ride, come and sit on the couch. What have you got to show for it? Well, nothing. I've just got a sweaty face.
Well, in some ways, it's good and bad having that. At least then it's a clear metric of, I've been out riding, here's the evidence. But then the other point, or the other negative side of it, is like you, Joe, where if you take that away, if you no longer do that, if you've always had the expectation, then I suppose it must be really hard to get satisfaction from riding if there's not a physical product at the end of it. That's probably why you're really quite good with road cycling at the moment, because when you connect to your Strava, you come home and you've got this evidence that then says, I've done 80 miles, 100 miles.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's the same sort of concept of you with trials, because you're always like, I'm going to get sick pictures, get sick videos, and that's what at the end of the day, why not show off some good skills that we've had?
Just psychoanalyze Joe, like he's metric driven, he's goal driven.
Tom, you have absolutely nailed it on the head, like, especially with Strava. I mean, like, that's it. If you come home and your Strava hasn't worked, mate, I am up in arms. I'm like, right, how do I restore this data?
He's probably going on
Absolutely.
Google, and I've got to manually pull it in now and shows I did fucking ride this way. I did do that, I promise.
Been there. You
I'm
got the
not
files
gonna lie.
manually, and you're trying to just
Yeah,
extract
I'm
them
not
and
going to
upload
lie.
them.
I have done that. I have done that.
No, I mean,
No
I would
joke.
do the same, mate. I definitely would, just to kind of.
And I've said to a couple of people before, I said like with road biking now, it's like it's a new challenge. It's fresh. Trials is done for me. Like I've been there, I've done it, got the t-shirt, but now this is new. I've got a new. It's like with trials, you're battling against yourself. You know, you're trying to always better what you've done, and it's the same on the road bike. You do that TT circuit in 10 minutes. You want to do it in 9 minutes 55. You know, next time. It's constantly progressing. You constantly want to better yourself, and I love it. I love it.
I got a vouch. No, for anyone who hasn't done road, I did it for like a year and I didn't get mad into it, but it's really easy to look at the roadies and go, look at those roadies. I remember riding with people who were like 40s, 50s, and I was like, man, I'm young. I'll show them. I can ride trials. I'm good. Man, they leave you for dust.
Yeah.
Like, it is
Absolutely.
a weird discipline.
Yeah.
But I think same with trials. You can't look at someone and go, oh, he's probably that good or whatever. Like, people just have weird amounts of stamina and energy.
Yeah, I mean, at the grand old age of 33 now, I mean, I'm probably in the best shape I've ever been in. Because trials isn't exactly like, for fitness, is it? Let's be honest. You can be any weight and ride a trials bike.
Yeah, it's explosive.
But having rode this, it's, it's a whole new world. It really is.
So we're looking at
It's just a
ourselves.
new
Is that our
challenge.
future, Tom? Is that our future right now? He's
Maybe
only
not
30.
quite like that.
I'm only about 6 years off that now.
Don't get me wrong. Years ago, I would have looked at road bikers and went, oh my days, bunch of, like that's not cool. No one wants to be seeing a man riding around in Lycra. Now I am that man. Like,
As well as Lycra, though, this was off air, and we need to get it in there. What is it that you need to do underneath your shorts, Joe?
Bit of chamois cream.
Bit of chamois cream.
Chamois cream.
Chamois
If
cream.
anyone's offering, mate.
So,
butt cream, effectively.
yeah, Joe's got
Yeah.
cream in his butt.
Yeah. Why not?
I mean, he's proud. No, don't get me wrong. It means that you're
In his
committed.
Try it
defence,
before you
it
knock
does
it.
make a huge difference.
I definitely can't relate.
It's the seams, it's the stitching, and it just kind of,
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
it's,
but well, trials riders wear Lycra too.
yeah. But we wear boxers.
do they now?
I don't know. Like some people, they wear
go.
under their shorts, don't they? That's like the comp.
Yeah, just like compression layers to keep them warm
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, that's not the same.
Not quite
I mean,
the
don't
same
get me
thing.
wrong.
Not-
You go back 20 years and you see the Monty team in their Lycra.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
even then that was a bit gay, should we say?
That's what's it now? The like.
And I mean,
a
for
lot of
trials, is
professional
it really
riders.
necessary?
I think it's the look, isn't it? The whole. It's like this is my view of it. You've got motocross and you've got road bikes, and what trials have tried to do is tried to combine that with these weird, crazy jerseys, but with Lycra.
Yeah.
So it's that combination
Yeah,
of motocross.
strange.
What am I trying? Motocross trials bikes and road bikes, because it's supposed to be lightweight, and so they're combining that too to create the best of both worlds. And Power Ranger suits.
Yeah. Power Ranger suit's still going now.
I can't think of the word. That's what we call jitsi outfits. Power Ranger suits. Absolutely brilliant. Oh.
So I lost you again.
Yeah,
but
I
I'm
think
sure
we just lost
whatever
you
you
for
were
a second.
saying was
Then
spot
we
on.
no, we were just saying the jitsi outfits. Yeah, the Power Ranger outfits.
Oh yeah, but they look cool, right?
Yeah, they look cool. They look
Shindigs. Come on, let's talk about shindigs.
Go on, give us
Yeah.
the worst.
cool. I'm sure you remember your worst one,
To be
right?
fair, they're not. Yeah, they're not that bad. I mean, in terms of an actual shinner, I mean, I haven't had a shinner for donkey's years. It was like when you're starting out and you didn't really know where the pedals were. And I've got the generic, pedaling the shin, and you've got skanky white stuff popping out, and you're like, oh, that's not cool.
Yeah.
But the best one is my knee. I don't know if you can see it. That's pretty good. Can you see that on there?
I can actually.
Quite a
That
long
white
one.
Yeah, that
scar.
nice
We'll
white
definitely
line.
have to get
Yeah.
a nice picture of that one. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
see
that's a
that.
good
Wow.
So the story behind that was a shinner, but it wasn't. I was gapping between a set of pallets to another set of pallets, or whatever. And as I jumped across, I just thought maybe I'd like a chain skip or something. Something just wasn't right.
Yeah.
So I kind of chucked the bike, and I sort of jumped in the gap. And as the back tire hit the pallets, it then bounced back, and then the pedal hit me on the knee, and it was like a good cut, probably like a good 9-10 centimeters around my knee, and it just didn't want to heal. I mean, I kept picking it, and it was a bit minging, but it's a cool scar now. So
Yeah, mate. I mean, this is part of it. It's always making it. As trials riders, we have disgusting legs. I've had more than 2 or 3 women say that my legs are disgusting. Like, not that they should look good as a man.
I would question the fact that you've had 2 or 3 women, but there you go.
Oh
Sorry.
dear. No, it's all right, mate.
Well, that's all right. I've got trials forum opener, so we can just send a dig back. Actually,
Yeah, let's go back to
Joe
forum.
was prolific on Chit Chat and general, because Chit Chat was a section of Trials Forum that was like non-trials related stuff. And the topic here, started by Joe, April 2005. That's nothing already. Car is being a hoe.
Oh, there you go.
Well, car ain't, exhaust is.
That's how it starts.
As soon as I start the car up, exhaust just starts making the car shudder. With a bit of gas, it just rumbles. But if you give it a bit, then it goes away. Went out today, part with friends. Just general car issues. Then everyone's like diagnosing it, going, "Is it this? How's he got this? Maybe it's that. Maybe it's that." On the internet, like.
Yeah. From his description, they're qualified mechanics.
Yeah, head gasket, and I'm gonna get to the end of this, and I want to ask your opinion on this, Joe. There's a comment in here that made me laugh so much. It might be.
But I mean, like, as like a 17, 18-year-old who's just got their first car. I mean, you don't know anything, do you?
No. I think mine.
So you got to put the
sounded
question out
worse.
there to the masses, see what they say.
Yeah.
Oh, it was here. It says, by the way, because people were saying go to the garage and stuff like that. He said, me and cars don't mix. I think I don't know what it was, but not that long ago, I came out a junction and just totally forgot to change gear from first, and then I heard boom, and I thought, shit, should have changed gear. Could that have been it?
Yeah, I mean, even to the day, my car knowledge isn't great.
The comment I've had is, by the way, I'm not going with the garage now. My friend, in quotation marks, and then after friends, it says, my GF.
My GF.
My GF. Dad had a look over it tonight. Defo the head gasket.
What date is that? Because would that have been
2005, April 2005. What car would that have been, Joe?
Fiat Punto 1.0.
So Essex.
8-valve. Had like an Abarth body kit on it, Abarth wheels. It looked alright until I put it in a ditch. I mean, it didn't look so good.
That is so Essex.
I was about to say, that's
I've
a
got
pure Essex move.
one more. This is brilliant. This isn't your topic, but on Trials Forum, because there's Trials Forum is everything. It was also our eBay as well. You used to buy Trials parts.
Yeah.
And someone on there, I'm not going to say his actual name, but it says, I'll let you know, never give money to this guy.
No,
I can't remember
you're
his
gone.
address.
I can't hear you.
Hang on.
There we go, lost Joe quickly. Just thought I'd let you know, never give money to this guy. Can't remember his address, but he does live in Somerset. Anyone else had any trouble with this guy? Yeah, I've bought stuff off him, not received it. This guy then comments, he's still banned on Trials Forum. It's called Future Orange. And he says, by the way, I have your pads in the packet with in an envelope with the address on, still waiting to send it. And then Joe replies, well, send them then.
It's fair, isn't it?
That's pretty simple. Yeah.
That's just typical.
And it keeps going on, and then everyone's going, oh, you're such a retard, just send them, carry on. And
I'm still waiting for him, I think.
And this guy said, I haven't had the money to actually send them. I'm waiting for a statement to prove it tomorrow. And then Joe just says, mate, I'm sorry, but you're a total willy. I hope one day when you nick some more money off someone, they come round your house and kick the shit out of you.
How funny. To be fair, I probably didn't say Willy. I probably said something else.
It says Willy.
It says Willy.
No, but I mean, back in the day, if you said a certain word, it would have changed it.
Oh, of course.
So I probably called him a cock, I'd imagine.
And then Trials Forum just goes full internet on it. And then there's like this guy's mum and dad's phone number, his address.
Oh, wow.
That's what I mean. That sort of stuff now, if that was to happen online now, that's like pretty... We really pushed it on forum. We were like pushing the boundaries.
Well, we were kids, weren't we?
Yeah, of course. And we didn't know what keyboard warriors
I mean,
really
everyone
were.
was like, even when it came to like videos and stuff, when someone put a video up, it was brutal.
Yeah.
Oh, music's great, but everything else is shit. You know, like
Yeah.
just people would say that, and you're like, cool. Well, there's the feedback.
I will happily hold my hand up and say that I criticised many a video. I mean,
Yeah.
I was pretty brutal.
I mean, as a
But then
senior, I
saying
felt you
that-
had the right to, especially.
Yeah, I mean, I received just as much of that criticism as everyone else.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to give it, take it as well. Like,
Well, it is a different time, and we've unleashed some stuff on like Steve-O and their trials forum activities. It's a common thing. It's not like Joe was particularly like just an anus on there. It was like everyone was like there's everyone going to town on this guy.
But what actually is a really big contrast there, Joe being, you know, another trials legend who's had a major impact on the forum before the online presence of Facebook. So Joe was really active on the forum, but then you look at, say, someone like Andre Burton, who necessarily rode a lot. There's like zero activity on the forum, you know, riding the same sort of time, but just like zero activity.
That's your 6DP, Joe. 6DP.
Sex TP, can you see that?
oh,
An
that's
XTP?
Yeah, that's before I changed it to a royal green.
I remember that green.
Yeah.
Because I
And I had the graphics. It had Joe in brackets Chav Maher. Don't ask, I
Joe
don't know.
Chav Maher.
That's what I had, man.
I remember there's probably still some videos on YouTube, but you had that. It was a red helmet that would have been in green. And what was so iconic about that bike was because it had that really weird head tube, the welding around the head tube.
Oh yeah, the Zona Zenith. Yeah, man.
Zona Zenith. I
Yeah.
remember those.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. God, mate, I've had so many bikes. I mean, I don't even remember what I've had.
I don't remind you. I'll be honest. I don't remember you riding a stock. I may have missed some line of his riding.
Oh, mate,
career.
I started off on stock. Yeah, no, I mean, just go back to YouTube video 1. I mean, there's plenty on there. I've had everything.
So
I had a Cox XTP, got it from Clean Bikes, bought it for £795 or whatever. Put a dent in it within about 4 minutes of having it. Literally cried myself to sleep.
wow, yeah. At that age, a bike like
Not
that,
cool.
then that was like top of the range bikes there too.
Yeah.
But I didn't. So you just said to me you started. I didn't know this, Joe. You started on a stock 26-inch to begin with.
Yep.
And
Yep,
then
yep.
I've never known anyone to go the opposite way to a 20-inch. What? I mean, how did that even come around? Was it the whole idea, like you said earlier, about the bike being smaller and flickier?
I think when I started, I was in year 8 at school, and some kid I knew, Marco, he had like a Planet X jump bike, maybe,
I know those,
you know.
yeah. I know.
And I was like, man, this guy is so cool. I want to be just like him. He can do an endo. He can do a wheelie. Bam. I want to be this guy.
Yeah.
So then I got some heap of junk, £300 bike. And then about 2 weeks later, I'd upgraded it to this Planet X Bomber jump frame. It weighed about as much as a small car. But that's where I started. And then from then on, I had so many 26s. I think the last 26 I had was maybe like an Adamant A1 or something like that.
Yeah, the old deng era.
Which is still relatively new-ish. And then what happened is I went to Tarty's warehouse, and this was when the Dob frames came out, the magnesium frames or whatever they were.
My friend had one of those, yeah.
Yeah, so Adam had a double disc Dob, and I rode that, and I was like, mate, I want one. Just give it to me now. So that was when I went to 20. Then I was on 20 for a good few years. And that's when like I was just spinny and a bit creative. And then I went 24.
You
I was
rode
on
20 in
24 for a go.
Dubai, didn't you?
Yeah, man. So I moved to Dubai when I was 20. I was out there for about 6 months, and I didn't have a bike with me. Mum was coming out to visit, and I was like, Mum, go to the bike shop, get them to unbuild my bike, put it in a bike bag, bring the bike out. So
Very
she brought my
important.
bike out. Yeah, but I was riding, because there was pretty much only a skate park there, and street was like off limits. I was riding the trials, but now I'd got a BMX. So I rode BMX for about a year, and then when I came back home, just back into trials again. And that was partly one of the reasons why I came home, because I was loving riding trials so much, and I just wasn't doing it enough out there. And I was like, I want to come home. Like, I was looking at trials forum and seeing all these group rides and being like, I want to be there.
Mate, I really do know that feeling. That's partly, I only lived in the States for like 2 years, but those 2 years, I did take my bike, but just didn't ride it. And you can see it, like, there's just something about our community in England there where there is that kind of whole fear of missing out and that level of being like, one of the reasons I'm back here and feel like I might stay, it's because of trials. You know, work opportunities are elsewhere, but I've decided that this is where I'm going to stay because of my desires and hobbies and trials riding.
Well, even this year, you know, when we spoke with Andre, he was saying he's never been on so many group rides this year because he's actually been in the country to do that. So
yeah, he's not actually going off and flabberganting and swinging off ropes in other countries. But I think it's really done a really good way of us keeping that.
I'm glad we're back to those old school group rides. It always was like you'd always go on Trails Forum and just find a ride every weekend. I mean, I remember coming down to Southend, like my first maiden trip to Southend, and seeing this clown for the first time.
Well, that's what I wanted to make sure. Just looking at the time here, I'll go for a minute. I was going to get into how you and Joe actually.
It was just a random one. It probably doesn't even register on Joe's radar at all.
Maybe he's forgotten.
It would have been a ride. We was riding in Southend and it just started chucking it down. We was down near the front somewhere and we sat up on this seating that was covered over. We was all wearing rain jackets there.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean, actually.
And
it was like benches that overlooked the seafront.
That's it. Somewhere where old codgers would go and sit and look at the sea. It was chucking it down. And I remember, I'm sure you remember this name as well, ZHI Chris.
Z Chris, yeah.
Z Chris, he was there as well. And we was also, we'd been riding, we're just there now, we didn't know what to do. So we ended up playing Chinese whispers. Like just talking to one each other, like underneath there. And we're just talking to each other going down this, because the bench is in a line like this, just looking at it.
That's right, yeah.
And I just thought it was so weird. I was like, I'm here with Joe Maher, like this pretty sick trials rider from Trials Forum. We're just...
Mate, your memory is great. I'll give you that. I mean,
at the time, because I think I was so new to it, it was the first time I'd been to Southend on my bike. I was like, this is weird, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, my first big trials ride was a London ride, and it was must have been for 2004 maybe. There must have been a good 100 odd people there, and Wayne Mohammed, I think his name is. I remember he was just killing it on a pace, like. All the Yorkshire boys just come down and they were absolutely annihilating London. But that was a big ride. And as a kid then, you're like, whoa, I just want to be like all these cool guys doing massive gaps. And like, it just adrenaline level was mental.
I think because it's new as well. I mean, now we watch it and you go, cool. I sort of know that that's possible. I know that's doable, etc., etc. But when it's so fresh, you just have no...
Well, everything... when you say about when it's new, I think... everything about it was so much of like an overload for the senses because not only was the riding different, but physically the bikes, the big tires, the weird shape of the frame, the people.
I think it's the case of seeing it in the flesh, because at that age, the closest you'd been to seeing, such a good rider was like Tricks and Stunts, Martin Hawes, Martin Ashton. That was it. They were your to look up tos. But then to come on a group ride and see riders who were doing like equally as good stuff, you were like, what?
Yeah.
Like that's not true. He's doing magic or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point actually. Yeah, it was always about seeing them ride in the flesh. I must say, the same as it is now. People can watch these riders do all these crazy tricks, but some of it it doesn't do it any justice until you watch them in real life.
No, that's
you
right.
really understand how impressive it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
How are we doing on time, mate? Oh.
How long we got? I mean, I'm here all day, mate.
No, of course. You've probably been bouncing around.
Oh, we were getting on,
peddling away. Yeah, we've got a couple of minutes. There's a couple of other bits been asked. We've got your best shindig story. We now know he does still have a trials bike. He will be coming back out on it next year. I'm going to get him to sign a disclaimer with that, something along those lines. We'll have to, just to show his face.
Yeah.
But we do know that even if that's the case, you'll be turning up in your Lycra on your road bike to the rides. Actually, you did. You came to Radical Bikes. Yeah.
Yeah, not too long ago.
Not too long ago. Yeah, I did catch up with you, and then you still turned up. But I know you actually couldn't ride because of your surgery.
Yeah,
you can't actually ride a trials bike if you had the choice to at that point. So
I'm not going to lie. I went in the garden for a couple of days ago, and I did get the trials bike out.
See, I knew it.
Wait. And I hopped around. My tyres were pretty flat. The brakes needed to bleed. I hopped around, and obviously because I've just been riding this for like the past year, I got on this trials bike with Carthy bars, and I physically felt sick. I was like, what is this? What is this underneath my feet?
How did I do this?
Yeah. But I mean, if this reunion ride ever happens, I'm there, all right?
It will, and you will be there. And whilst he's not looking, I can dismantle his bike and take his carbon forks and put them on my 24-inch.
Best forks in the world, mate.
I know. It's the only thing I was like, damn, they didn't have those forks on it. So for a bit of context, in case people didn't realise, and you live under a rock, yes, my 24-inch was from beautiful Mr. Joe Maher, which really getting on with Joe. I must tell you, I broke the wheels already. I've got new wheels for it. So.
Oh, wow. Well, lose some weight.
I have been. No, what did I say? No, I've been putting weight on. It's lockdown, so it's okay. But muscle weighs more than fat, so that's why.
That's what I keep telling myself.
Mate, I think if we missed anything that you've
we're always going to miss something, you know. As soon as we finish this call, we're like, damn it, why don't I ask Joe about that or that?
I mean, I'll be honest, I've not really dug the dirt on anyone, have I? I mean, I've got a lot of dirt to dig.
I know you.
There always will be a next time. We can come back to this again.
Time.
Yeah, we'll write it down and we'll come again.
I mean, I can be pretty brutal if you want me to, but I'm just,
we're
slow and steady.
You're in a vulnerable position right now because you're on your bike in your Lycra. I'm sure if we got you in a better setting, it will come out.
It doesn't. Yeah, we wanted to try and dig that from you and show people like this is the new Joe. And we obviously everyone we've had on so far is very much living and breathing trials. You have done that in the past, but you're still living and breathing sprockets and spokes, shall I say?
Yeah.
So, man, I've got to say it was absolute pleasure having you on to chat with us. We'll definitely be getting you on again.
Until next time. Oh,
Yes.
you've frozen.
No, we're back now.
Disney
It's
on
back.
The
Joe,
internet is
before we go, where
awful.
can people find you? Instagram, you've got your back catalogue on YouTube.
We might have lost him again.
You can find me in this shed riding my bike until about January. June even. Ooh. Yeah. No, I mean, to be fair, like all of my socials now it's just pictures of my boy, and that's it. Like, I did start up an Instagram page called UK Trials Photos.
Oh,
which
that's
is like
good. Yeah,
a back catalogue of photos.
Please head to that. Yeah, we should try and
want some real nostalgia. There's some classic group rides, and if you was about in the scene then, when you can see some of these photos come up, you'd be like, I was on that ride, or I remember people talking about that ride.
And to be honest, I've got thousands more, but it was just time consuming. I'm not one for sitting on Instagram and posting for the likes. It's just
just give it to our community, mate. And it's the same for us. We're not here for the plays, but as long as everyone of our community is listening to this and getting in the conversation, perhaps this has inspired them to go out and do something. I don't know, but it's just about keeping it alive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, trials will always be a thing for me. It's been part of my life for like 2/3 of my life. Yeah. So it will always be there, and I'll always dip my toe in. But it's just that point of knowing that your best days are behind you, and what's the point in trying to pursue something that is never going to be at that level again? I'm not getting any younger.
No.
And there's so many good riders now. I mean, let them have the glory.
I mean, not
that I ever had any glory.
There's a lot of other life commitments that yourself have. You have a family. You're a married man. You look at myself. I have none of that. The only thing I actually commit to is my job and my riding. So I think it's at what part of stage of life that you're at. So, and I know that being a family man is important. So,
yeah, man.
Mate, thanks again.
Thank you, Joe.
It's been a pleasure.
Send our love to the beautiful and lovely Hannah. And give Jack a good old high five from us as well. I will. Send it all to the family, mate. So let's give up to Mr. Joe, absolute legend.
Mr.
Thank
Joe
you very
Maher.
much, sir.
Shin Diggers.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
The Shin Diggers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.